Okay, today I'm going to show you how to take some multiple exposures, bring them into Photoshop so that they overlay. So first of all, you should have had some pictures you took and kept the tripod in the same place and left an open screen. So if you'll notice up here where my mouse is moving, there's an open screen, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pictures of my character in the photo bending different ways. So, but the photos are taken the same basic position using a tripod. So I'm going to go over here on my desktop, click on my desktop, and right-click and create a new folder. As the new folder comes up, if you start typing right away, you'll see it says Untitled Folder, but if I'm going to type right away, I can go EXPOSURE, exposure. And if I don't get it clicked right away, if you click on the word, like single click carefully, there you go, not double click, you can type exposure, and that's how you name your folder. Please don't name your folder Untitled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So I take my exposure folder and I go back into Photos or iPhoto, and I'm going to select all my photos, either holding the Shift key down and clicking on the last one, or just grabbing them all like this, and I drag them into the exposure folder. Okay, once in the exposure folder, I do not need iPhoto anymore, so I quit this. And then I go into Photoshop. So I click on Photoshop, and I go File, and I go Automate, and I go Photo Merge. So I click those, and then I bring up my little guy here, and I can go Layout Auto, but I'm going to use Collage. And I'm going to, instead of files, I'm going to choose the folder. So I click on Collage, I click on folder, and then I'm going to browse for the folder I want. So I click on that, and on my desktop, I click on my desktop, there's my little folder called Exposure. And so I choose that, and it brings up some photos in here. Now, if it comes up with a little thing that says DS Store, you want to click on that and remove it. I was hoping it would come up here, but it didn't. But every now and then DS Store comes up, and I'm not sure why, but it didn't on this case. But remove it if it does. Then I'm going to say OK. And now my Photoshop is going to start working on those photos. So what it does first is it brings all the photos in, and you can see over here my spinning beach ball of death. But meanwhile, if you watch over to the layers palette, you'll see the photos come up several at a time and so on. And unfortunately, this is something I have to wait on, so I'm going to put together. And so what it did was it took all these pictures, and you can see a little bit of gap around the edge because it aligned all the pictures so the tripod might have moved a little bit or whatever. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over here in my layers palette, and I'm going to zoom in on that palette. And I'm going to unlink all these pieces, and then I'm going to throw each of the masks away. So I'm just going to put this in the trash, and unfortunately I have to zoom out to answer the question, and I want to delete, not apply. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to click on the next one, drag it to the trash, delete, drag this one to the trash, delete, drag this one to the trash, delete, drag this one to the trash, delete, and drag this one to the trash, delete. Then I'm going to find the layer, which in this case, that to the very bottom layer. So now what I have is I have a picture of my character, and if I turn off each one of these, you can see my character changes each time on the picture, like this and like this. And there's my empty one. So now I'm going to select the first one. What I want to do real quick is to make my job faster. I'm going to go to image size, and I'm going to reduce this down to, oops, I'm going to reduce this down to 1920 on my pixels. So go from to a 7.04 meg from the 57 meg. So this will be easier to work with and faster to work with. Okay, so I've reduced the size of my multiple exposure. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to operate on the first layer. So I'm going to click over here in my layers palette and make sure I've got the top layer. And then I'm going to go over here in the toolbox, and the fourth tool down has the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. So I'm going to take the quick selection tool, and I can change the brush size up here. So right now I'm going to start with a fairly large brush, and I'm going to start drawing on my character, and you can see that it quickly grabs his shirt and his jeans. And the problem I'm going to run into probably is as I go down here, sure enough, it grabbed in the middle there, but we can fix that. So go on down here and get the shoes and the other shoes and the mystery's pant leg. And now, anywhere that it grabbed out that I don't want to get, like out here and inside here, I have to go and clean that up. So I'm going to hold the Command and Space bar down to get my magnifying glass, which is this tool right here. But if you do the keystrokes, this spotlight will open when you do that, and sometimes it'll pop right in front of you, but just ignore that and click and drag in here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away some of this leaves and stuff that I accidentally grabbed. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to hold down the Option key on the keyboard, and notice that this turns into a minus. You see that? So then I click in here, and I simply click in the green. Try not to get on his head. See, I actually got a little too much on the head there. And then I'm going to close this here and just kind of go around and clean up that act a little bit. Okay, got a little too much there, and missing part of the ear here, and missing a little bit of the head here. And if you'll notice, I'm keeping my circle within the frame of the character. So now I'm going to go here, and then if I hold the space bar down, my cursor turns into a hand. That means I can move the thing up here. And I've got some concrete showing through here, or the wall actually. And then missed a little bit of the arm here. So I make sure you let go of the Option key. So I'm going back and forth between letting go of the Option key to add stuff and holding the Option key down to erase stuff. So got a big bad guy right here. And again, and I missed part of the hand here, so whoops, that time I forgot to let go of the Option key. So now I'm doing it again. And you just kind of keep going back and forth like this until you get what you want. Now in between his arms here, I'm going to have to reduce the size of my brush really small, down to probably less than 10 pixels, maybe less than 5 pixels. And then I'm holding the Option key down so that it goes in between his arm here. And same thing on this side. And don't worry if it grabs part of the arm. I can always go back and put that back in by not holding down the Option key. And then scroll down a little bit more. Get the part of the hand I missed there. And then in between his jeans, I've got to click and hold this down. And I'm holding the Option key down. So you'll see as I continue to go here, I'm erasing stuff that I don't want selected, and I'm adding stuff that I do want selected. So like on the edge of his shoe here, And this part of this shoe here, and over here there's some white missing there. So when I'm finally done, then I'm going to go up to Refine Edge, and then I can see how my character looks. So it looks like I've trimmed him out pretty good. Pants look a little weird here, so I might go cancel that real quick and see. Yeah, I missed part of the pants here. Didn't see that at first. And I'm going to zoom in on that area. Looks like I missed part of the pants here, but I got too much over here. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom out by going Command 0. Again, go to Refine Edge. This time it looks a little better. I'm going to take this and put it at 0, my contrast expand. I'm going to smooth this a little bit and feather this a little bit less. And then I say OK. Now what I'm going to do is go select inverse. And now I simply hit the delete key. Now there's 2 delete keys on some of the keyboards. There's only one on the others. But it's the delete key on a PC where the backspace is. Don't hit the delete where the little home key and all that stuff is, because it won't do what you want. So hit the delete key. And now you'll see I've revealed the second layer, and I've got a guy peeking out from the side there. So now I'm going to turn off my first layer, and I'm going to keep my selection there, and I'm going to click on my second layer and begin the same process. So I'm going to zoom in the top part because that's the part I have to work with the most. And I'm holding down the minus key. Actually, I think I'll take and start with the plus key first and start grabbing his head. Oh, I forgot. Select. I got to go back and re-inverse it. And now I'm going to click on his head and see it's grabbing that. If it's grabbing too much, I'm going to go over here. Now I'm going to take away this part that was from the previous selection. So I'm holding the Option key down. So I'm deselecting his old head and deselecting all this in the side here. And I'm going to add this. So I let go of the Option key. I take away this. I'm holding down the Option key, taking away this. And I'm adding this. So I'm letting go of the Option key. So again, back and forth. Command 0 to zoom out. And then again, I'm going to go to my Refine Edge, make sure I didn't get anything weird. So it looks pretty clean. So I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to go Select and Inverse. And again, I'm hitting the Delete key where the backspace is on a PC. So now I'm getting a next layer guy. So if I turn my layers back on, you can see that I'm starting to get kind of a cool little collage thing going on here. Now since the other guy's going the other way entirely, I'm going to lose, let me turn off these guys. I'm going to go ahead and lose the selection I have and go deselect and just start fresh with this one. So I'm going to click on the layer I want and get my brush a little bigger and start selecting him. Now I'm going to stop the video now. Okay, so now what I've done is I've selected the 4th layer down, and now I'm going to hit the delete key where the backspace key is, and I revealed my last character. Now I don't have to, because let me turn off this guy, I don't have to grab the last guy because the only thing between him and the background is him. So I don't need to delete that. I've already got the background. So now I'm going to turn all the layers back on, make sure that I got everything the exact way I want it. I'm going to hide this selection by going Command H. So there's my characters. I got a little bit of dark here, which I could clean up. But overall, you get the picture. There's my 5 size, peeking out from behind each other. And so, and then you can see each layer, you can see the hands and things like that. So there's a good way to do the multiple exposure. And then of course I want to save my work. First, I'm always save things as, in this class, always save things as a Photoshop document or .psd. Okay, and then after I saved it as a .psd, I'm going to go File, Save As, and then I'm going to change it to a JPEG. Now, notice that if I save it as it says multiple exposure reducee .psd. If I click on Photoshop and go to BMP, this changes to BMP, which is a bitmap selection. If I go to JPEG, it says JPEG, and it's on and on. Like there's Photoshop PDF, there's a PNG, which is for web stuff. But I'm going to go back up and show it. You always want to name it and then make sure you change the format. You can't type the JPEG up here. You actually have to go down here and let it name itself. But if you accidentally delete this, make sure you click on this and change it to something else and then change it back to JPEG. So there's that. I'm going to save it in my Documents folder, so I'm going to say Save. This you want to be at the largest, so go up to 12 and say OK.